Hello again, witchy people. Today we are talking pendulum dowsing, and I'm hoping I can get through this without the builders from next door totally drowning out my voice. So, pendulum dowsing. Obviously the first thing you need with pendulum dowsing is a pendulum, or do you? You don't have to use a pendulum. There are obviously the sort of like pendulums that are the accepted sort of like pendulum kind of things that you can use. These sort of things. They go with different gemstones and such like. But you don't have to invest in these. There are so many more other things you can use. So let's start with some of the really basic ones that you may remember from old wives' tales and such like. You can use wedding rings, or any rings actually. You take a ring off and hang it on a piece of string or a piece of wool. And the good thing about using a ring is that you can pick the colour string to match whatever you're dowsing for. You can also use needle and thread, which is one of the very old-fashioned ways. You just thread your needle and you hold the thread. You can use keys, so you can thread a key and use that. You can even use paper clips. Anything that you can thread can be used. You can use large pieces of jewellery. This is a pocket watch and it's got a beautiful swing to it. So there's one. You can use heavy pieces of jewellery. You can use jewellery that's kind of special to you. So these are lockets. This is a pendant with my horoscope sign upon it. You can use rocks and stones. Hagstones are brilliant. If you get a hagstone and you can just put it on a piece of cord, or once again a piece of thread, or even a piece of wool, and use that. These are brilliant. This is a little bottle. You can put oil in it and scent, or a spell in it even. It's got a little amethyst on the front. And oh, I've had this for possibly 25 years, maybe more. I wouldn't advise using anything with too much hanging on the bottom. Whereas all these things mean something to me, that can sometimes be slightly confusing. So don't use things with too much on them. Another brilliant one are these. Now these are known as scent balls or scent pendulums. And they're brilliant. You open them up and you can put inside, like I said, you can handwrite a small spell or something like that, but you can put inside any stone, as long as it fits obviously, any gem, any stone inside to have. And this one's even better because it's a beautiful shape. And of course you don't have to put anything in them. You can just leave them empty, but they're brilliant for dowsing with. So there's a few things. You don't have to have a pendulum to do pendulum dowsing. So let's put all that to one side. I'll have to put all that back in my jewellery box later. So next thing, actual dowsing with a pendulum. I'm going to use this one here. This is an amethyst pendulum. It's got the rod that goes through the centre, and it's got quite a nice heavy weight. So what you really want when you start pendulum dowsing is when you hold it like this, you want it to be heavy enough to stay quite still. Now it doesn't matter if you're a slightly shaky person, that kind of just adds to it really. If you can manage to stay completely still, then your pendulum's not going to move much, to be honest. I mean, I have a ton of these pendulums, like these ones. These ones I tend to collect. I think I have one in nearly every stone you can think of. You know, so and they are relatively inexpensive to buy. This one I got quite cheap because you can see it's got an occlusion in it. It has a, I don't know if you'll be able to see that there. See, it's got a crack in it. It does not harm or interfere with the way the pendulum works at all. And this is where I keep all my pendulums. This box is full of them. Okay, so basic pendulum dowsing is really, really easy. You hold your pendulum. Now I actually like to hold it with both hands like this and have my forehead resting on my hand. But I'm going to just hold this down here so you can see the pendulum there. And then what you do is you concentrate and ask a question that you know the answer to. And you don't have to say it out loud. Okay, so the question I'm asking would have a yes answer to it, and it's swinging this way. So I'm assuming now that a swing left to right is a yes answer. Let's ask a question now that is a no answer. And it'll do one of two things. It'll either swing up and down, or it will go round in a circle, and this is very gently going round in a circle. I don't know if you can see it from there, but it is very gently circling. So I know now that when I ask this pendulum a question, if it swings from left to right, the answer is yes, and if it circles, then it's a no. Simple. And that's all you have to do. You can also use like different stones that you know, maybe have some connection with what you're dowsing for. The same as when you have things like the keys and rings and such like, you can use the colour thread to correspond with what you're asking. Now that's not the only way to pendulum dowse. You can also do you put a yes and a no. Piece of paper, write yes on one side, no on the other, and watch which way the pendulum swings to either no or yes as you ask a question. Now you won't get an instant answer with pendulum dowsing. It's something you concentrate, you ask the question a few times and see what happens. Now you can also get these. Now these are printable pendulum charts, if you like, and all you do is you download them. Now these are for more specific things. If you want something spelt out, of course you have the alphabet there, you have yes, you have no and maybe, and this one actually has got no numbers on it, but it does have all the months of the year on it. This one has numbers on it, and patience, act, and once again the alphabet. This one, a bit more simple, yes, maybe, no, the numbers and the the letters, and there's one that's slightly different again and very simple. Now with these, all you do is you lay them out. I'm not that keen on using these, and when I do use them I like to use one that's half this size, so I print it off half this size. And you start by just resting the pendulum in the centre of the bottom. And when you're ready, you lift it slightly. Now all this does is steady the pendulum ready for you. And then you start asking. Now you can use this almost like a Ouija board. Right, I've asked a question in my head and it started going round in circles, so I know that the answer that I received was no, which means that this is not going to work for me today. But this, like I said, this is just a way of dowsing. Now that's the basics. When you find a pendulum that you really love, and I do have a few that I absolutely adore. One of them is this one with the crack in it, actually. I absolutely love this one. you kind of, now I don't think that you need to have something like a stone. You can have anything. You can have a piece of plastic if you like I said, you can have a paper clip, anything that's heavy enough to hold steady. Like this. It's the intent that you put into it. Once again, it's your will that makes this work. So you have to really concentrate. Like I said, I like to hold mine usually over my forefinger like this, with my hand like this, so you can't see the pendulum, but obviously the pendulum's hanging, and I rest my forehand on my hand, my forehead on my hand here. And for me, if I'm doing pendulum dowsing on my own, it's a very effective way of working, and I do prefer the yes-no method. These can be fun, don't get me wrong, but they can also be very confusing, and they are very time-consuming. I prefer a yes-no. If I was going to use something like this, I would use a Ouija board, or a spirit board, as I prefer to call them, which I do have one, and I know there's a huge shock horror. No, you mustn't have a spirit board in your house. Well, yes, I do, and I get on fine with it. I don't feel there's any evil demons coming through for me. But once again, as with any divination, you should be protecting yourself. Even if you're doing a simple yes-no pendulum dowsing, then you really must protect yourself. Burn an incense that you feel is protective. Imagine that protective shield around you, or some kind of protective energy around you. It's that simple. You don't have to go to great lengths and great ritual to protect yourself. So that is the very basics of pendulum dowsing. You do not need a pendulum. You don't need anything else. You just need something that's on a piece of string or a piece of wool, something that's heavy enough to be held still, even with shaky hands like mine, and off you go. Simple. But like I said, it is the intent and your own will that makes this work. You can't just sort of like sit down and sort of think this is a joke or a game, because it really isn't. This is one thing that will get you into trouble no matter what kind of dowsing you do, no matter what kind of divination you do. You can't treat it as a joke. That's disrespectful. So what you have to do is take it seriously, protect yourself, and have a lot of will. And you also need peace and quiet, let's face it, because you need to be able to concentrate. Now, if it doesn't work for you the first time, don't give up. Try again. You know, maybe pendulum dowsing isn't a way of divination for you, but it could be. You just have to find the right tool to use. That's it, my quickie on pendulum dowsing. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope it was pretty clear. Thank you for watching, witchy people. I'll be back soon. Bye for now.